So today I'm going to be interviewing you for my sociology class.
Okay.
And in this interview, I will be asking questions based off like your legacy. So some of these questions will be personal.
Okay.
So for my first question, I'm going to ask you: can you think of a time when you had to sacrifice your time or opportunities for what you really wanted that could have changed your future?
For what I really wanted, or for like, so I'm sacrificing something for someone else, or
I'm asking you, like, the question is, can you recall a time like when you had to sacrifice your time or an opportunity that could have changed your future?
yeah, I adopted my baby brother,
Mm-hmm.
and I essentially spent my late 20s raising the child
Right.
instead of doing things like finishing school,
Mm-hmm.
dating to find a wedding partner or a wife, or like what all my other boys was doing. So like
Mm-hmm.
my boys would be going out and they would be meeting the women that they would eventually marry, and I was taking care of a teenager.
Right.
And so like it was a lot of things that I missed out on. So like, when my brother left,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 31, 32, and I'm single, everybody married, at least all the good people gone,
Right.
and everybody kind of in their jobs and their careers, and
Right.
I'm still trying to catch myself, because for the longest it was just go to work, make sure that he was good. And
Right.
that was that.
Okay. Next question: what is your definition of family, and what impact do they have on you?
Family to me is like, obviously it's like loyalty, it's respect,
Mm-hmm.
the commitment to everybody making each other better.
Right.
I'm not too tied into the blood is family thing. I feel like the family that you have is a family you pick.
Right.
So like your best friends, your mate, like people who you have picked to be in your life, like those are families. But I had a really great example of family, from my father's side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
They was loyal, down for each other, but behind closed doors they cut into each other. Like, but you never see that in public. Like,
Exactly.
it was always, behind closed doors, protect the family first, and then, move forward.
Okay.
And so, like, that's how I identify with people. Like, I can't do people who don't tell me the truth. I can't do people who disrespect, like, no matter if you're my blood or not.
Right.
Those are honesty, respect. That's family.
Okay. Moving on to the next question: when you die, what is one way that you think your family will remember you by?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, because I feel like I can't really answer that. Like, that's up to them. Because, like, I don't know, it feels like there's a touch of narcissism in me answering that, like, oh, they're gonna do this and do that and do that and do this, but I don't really know. I would hope that I have left something that others can grasp and take with them. So my hope would be that I've created an influence or opportunities or something like that where people can like grow and prosper. And I would hope that's how I would be remembered.
Okay. Switching subjects just for a second with this question, because I want to get it in here. How has COVID and the pandemic affected your working life?
It's actually helped free me a little bit. Because I've started bringing in incomes from different places, because I've had time and opportunity to do so, because I haven't been locked into an 8-hour shift every single day. I've been allowed to like let my mind be free and to engage in projects that I like, and that also make me money and be able to compensate me. I'm actually struggling with work right now because I actually make less money coming to work, but it's familiarity, it's the benefits, it's the kids who are there. Like, I come there for them, but to be honest with you, it really makes no sense for me to be at work anymore.
Right.
So it has helped me by allowing me to break away from what I was doing every single day, that monotony, and challenge myself in other things, which I've been really successful at. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now going back to some other type of questions. Do you have a nickname that your siblings or family call you? And if so, how did you get that name, and why did they call you this?
Cope.
Okay.
But most of my siblings, they'll say Will or they'll say Cope. My Uncle Bo gave me the name King, which is, sometimes what every now and then my siblings will call it to me. I know people out in public call me that. But mostly Cope or Will. My first nickname was Stank. And they put it on a birthday cake, and my dad was like, no. Like, so he robbed me of that hood nickname. Like, that was my name. Like, I had a really foul mouth, and so my Uncle Corey named me Stank. Like, I used to cuss people out, like stanky mouth. And yeah, my dad killed all that. So he robbed me of my nickname. So
I see.
Everybody else got one. Like, Ebony got Snook. Yeah, I forgot what Mark's is. Bree got Squeak. Dinesh got Dee Dee, but
Okay.
I got robbed of mine. I got robbed of Stank.
Right. Okay. What was the most important lesson that your parents taught you, and that you taught or passed down?
That you should always have someone that you can tell the complete whole truth to. Who, when all the chips is down or stacked behind you, like, there's got to be one person who you can tell the truth to. Because, like, if you lie to everybody, can't nobody help you. So you got to have that one person that knows everything.
Right.
Who knows all the secrets.
Right.
So, like, who knows the true you, or the true things about you, or who you can tell the truth to. So that was, like, one of the most important things, because, like, you have, as a person, you cannot be whole without having someone that you can really trust. Okay. You'll just be a walking wall, or cut off from everyone when you don't have that. And so they made sure that I had that person that I can go to, or even them, you know. And even, like, when I did, like, really wrong, like, there was a person who I can say, like, yeah, I did that. Right. And yeah. So I think that's, like, one of the most important things.
Okay. That's good. Okay. Was there anything or anyone that you believe in that helped you keep faith to get where you are currently in life?
My sister.
Okay.
My big sister. Always, like, one of the greatest things about my big sister, she always believed in me. And I always had, like, big dreams. And being a black boy, people would always shoot down those dreams like they couldn't happen. You can't do this, you can't do that. Right. Can't do that, can't do this. Like, I was always really smart. I was, put in gifted classes and camps and stuff when I was a kid. I was always ahead in reading and stuff like that. But then people, as I got older and I got bigger and I got blacker, people would just tell me I wasn't smart. Like, just off rip. It was crazy, because, like, when I was a kid, I was amazing. And then when I got older, then it became, oh, you're bad, you talk too much in class, like, go to the principal's office. Like, it was crazy how, like, things changed. And then it was like I was, like, no longer smart anymore. And
they tried to stereotype you.
Yeah. And my sister really helped me navigate up out of that, because I could have went a totally different direction. Exactly. And she was always that constant in my life, like, telling me to push on, telling me what I could do, and basically, like, not limiting me. Okay. So
yeah, that's great. Okay. Can you recall a time when you suffered deeply, mentally Oh no, my bad. I'm so sorry. The question is, can you recall a time where you suffered deeply and mentally, and couldn't see yourself moving forward or being able to live on?
That was probably right after my sister died.
Right.
When my sister died, when Ebony died, there were times where I would be driving, I'd be like, you know what, I should just drive right off this cliff.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where I wanted my health to fail. There were times where I wanted to do things to people so they could retaliate.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to be up out of here.
Right.
And that was tough because when you lose somebody you that close to, it's just you could be in a room full of people and still be lonely.
Exactly.
And that was the first time I ever contemplated, not necessarily suicide, but maybe doing something to get myself taken out. So like,
right,
because I got to think about suicide. I don't really do that, but people do suicide in different type of ways, and like there was a lot of people that I was upset at. There was a lot of people who I felt treated my sister really badly.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have had no problem going at that moment in that time. I wouldn't have had no problem going to do anything to them or their family members,
mm-hmm.
and I would want retaliation.
Right.
So like, yeah, that was that time, and it's something that I still struggle with.
Okay.
Day in, day out. So has it gotten better? Yeah, but there's still some times where
right.
I might have a little lapse. But I'm working through it.
Okay. Do you have any advice for teens dealing with depression, trauma, or verbal and physical abuse? And I know it's kind of like a tough question, so advice on any of the 3 things I just mentioned would be nice.
I work with teens, and I work with depressed teens, teens who are abused, and I've been a teen who's been depressed and abused. One of the things about depression, you have to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
My mom didn't believe in depression. She
mm-hmm.
would come in, turn on all the lights, wake you up, be like, get the fuck up out of here, get out this house.
Right.
And like she'd be like, you need to get up, you need to do something. And so, because depression is a lull, like it'll lull you into a place of like being stagnant,
mm-hmm.
and like you don't do nothing, and you just sit in the space, and you don't be around people, and you continue to isolate,
mm-hmm.
and always like try to keep moving. And then you always have to remember as a teen, like right now in life, everything seems huge. A GPA seems huge,
mm-hmm.
So this failed test seems huge. A relationship seems huge. It seems like it's the end of the world if you don't have it anymore.
mm-hmm.
It's the end of the world if you don't go to this party, this event. Man, I'll be honest with you. I'm 36. I can barely remember high school.
Right.
It's such a small, tiny part in my brain. Like,
mm-hmm.
I think I did high school well for the most part, but like I couldn't remember a party because like all that stuff has been pushed out by like college experiences and stuff like that. Like, people will come up to me and be like, "Remember this happened in high school?" And I'll be like, "Like, damn, man, I don't even remember that."
Right.
What I would like to tell young people always is that there'll always be another test.
Mm-hmm.
There'll always be another class. There will always be another party, but there will never be another you.
Exactly.
So like, you have to understand that like you can get all that other stuff back, but we can never have you back if something happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I always like to communicate with them. Like, if you having thoughts, deep depression, suicidal thoughts, things of that nature, like all that other stuff it'll be there again. I look at the example in my building that I work in. Our principal graduated from Spring Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
He got both of his degrees. The head principal got both of his degrees from Spring Arbor. The men who work for him, they all got their degrees from U of M.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying college don't matter, but I'm saying like, when it comes to GPAs and all that stuff, you could go to Spring Arbor and have somebody who went to U of M working for you.
Right.
And trust me, there's a difference in the requirements to get to Spring Arbor versus getting to U of M.
Right.
And so that's why I try and tell kids, like, think a little bit further and not so much in the moment. And always remember, we can't replace you.
Okay.
So that would be my advice. Keep it moving, and always remember there'll never be another you.
Okay. Yeah. You kind of already answered this question, but I'm gonna ask it again,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's gonna be like a similar answer. Who do you think is responsible for you being able to get through issues and incidents you had in college and in high school?
Definitely my sister. My mom. My mom made me tough.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, you know, that's where my toughness comes from. My mom, actually both of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I think they thought they older kids might have been a little soft, so they was like rougher on me.
Mm-hmm.
And like them cats made me tough. I mean tough. Like I don't get shaken by stuff. I don't never feel like there's no way out. Like I don't see my mom make nothing out of something. Same thing with my father. Like and you know, I don't always agree with, you know, their methods, but the results, you know, man, they speak for themselves. I'm tough as fuck.
Right.
I'm sorry to cuss like a thing, but like, I mean, you know, I grew up, you know, I'm from Pine Lake during the crack ages and stuff. We had that stuff in our house, and like people, like the things that I had to see in my neighborhood and growing up, and you know all the disturbing things, and people would never know that about me. Like when you meet me now, like, you know, you would never know where what I came from. And I think that toughness derives from my parents, like always drilling in me, like, you know, you gotta go harder, you gotta work harder, you gotta move forward, you know, you cannot give up. Like I remember I had this boy picking on me, his name was Maurice. And he used to beat up on me all the time, and I came home and I was crying to my mom, and I'm like, you know, he keep picking on me, I don't wanna go outside. And she said, boy, you don't get your ass outside, you gonna have to deal with me. And I was like, you know, I don't want to deal with my mom. And so, like, you know, I went outside, you know, and I had to stand up to the boy.
Right.
And my dad told me, you know, if you got to fight somebody every day till they get up off of you, then so be it. And that's what I did. Every single day, I would stand up. I started looking for him to fight him, and I would lose. Sometimes really bad. But it just got to the point, like, after 20 consecutive days of us fighting, he was like, look, man, leave me alone. Like, leave me alone.
Right.
And so now, you know, we get along, man. We get along real well. I mean, I grew a lot. But, like, after that, like, you know, we was, like, best of friends.
Right.
And so I think that's, you know, kind of where it started, like, having that determination, never quit, don't give up. And, yeah, that toughness starts with my parents.
Okay. Was there any experience that you had when you were younger that influenced your current choice of career?
We had a guy named, I believe his name was James Bradley. I think he's a track coach at Michigan. But James used to take us like to Vets Pool, take us to Awana. You know, he would dedicate his time to driving around these ghetto children to these different places, you know, so we could experience some different things and not always be stuck where we were at. And I remember how, like, important that was for me. Like, you know, I couldn't wait to those Tuesdays in the summertime where he'd take us to get free lunch, and then, you know, he'd carpool all of us. It'd be like 15, 20 of us back, and, you know, making multiple trips. Take us to the pool, multiple trips to bring us back. And, you know, I didn't realize he was who he was until I got older. So I was like, this man, you know, he's a U of M graduate, track coach, successful track athlete, all this other stuff. And he was taking his time, his own personal time, you know, to help these kids out.
Right.
And so, like, when I when I think about what I do now, like, I always think about James, and I think about how that totally changed the trajectory of my life.
Okay.
Him taking that time. Because, you know, way before you was here, I was really bad. I was a bad kid. And, like, those like, your uncle could have went in a much different direction. And so, like, I mean, you know some of your other people, and I grew up around, so yeah, So
Right.
I think about those things, those experiences, which help totally shift my mentality and how I view things. And I'm like, if I could do that for just one kid, just one, I would feel like my life was a success.
Right.
So that's who I think about when I think about what I do now.
Okay. Do you think it takes a certain type of person with a certain amount of experience and grit to do what you do?
Man, I don't like the word grit. I just feel like who I am is more nurture than nature. I feel like with the proper nurturing, you know, any kid can be put on the right path. I don't think it's I think it's selfish, prideful, and narcissistic to believe like I was born this way. I was born, you know, with perseverance and, you know, strength. And I are those things innate? I don't know. I'm always iffy on that because I feel like if I didn't get certain things, like I said, I could have went a certain different type of way.
Right.
And so, like, I feel like if someone is properly nurtured, no matter what environment they come from, they can do this. They can do what I do. But I also think the nurturing has to be there. There has to be people to show that person that way, because I was shown a certain way.
Right.
I didn't just wake up and click. It's like, oh, this is what, you know, I want to be this type of difference or that type of difference. Like, I had to be shown that. Like, you know, a lot of my friends smoke weed. I don't do any drugs because I had to go to AA meetings and NA family meetings when I was a kid. So, like, I just don't touch the stuff because I used to be in the meetings and I used to hear them stories and I'd be like, I just rather not. Like, I don't care what it is. It's supposed to be like, oh, weed is just, and I'd be like, bruh, I ain't touching nothing.
Right.
Like, I done heard some stuff when I was 7, 8 years old. Like, because you got to go when the parent is getting off drugs. You know, the family has to go to these things as support and to also understand how that parent will be different now. And so, like, yeah, so, you know, so, like, experiences like that is why I never took the user route, like, using drugs. I wouldn't say, like, oh, I made the choice. Nah, I got educated. Like, and I was like, oh, no, I'm good. Like, so, like, yeah, I would be like, no, I made the choice not to use and all that stuff. Nah, I heard some stuff. And I was like, I'm good. So, like, yeah, so I believe, like, you truly have to be nurtured to be this way.
Okay. Why do you think, in your opinion, it's easier to pursue a career in sports as an African American than other professions?
I don't think that. I've gotten high in sports. I played college football. My brother played college football. That ain't easy.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think people, I remember I was in an assembly and this principal said, you know, this ain't like sports. It ain't gonna be easy or something. He said, and I was like, whoa. Like, I was waking up my brother at 4 a.m. to drag cars. We were on a strict, like, no fat, all protein diet. Like, he didn't rush for them 1,600 yards out of nowhere just because he had it. No, like, that was, you know, 12, 14 hours a day of work.
Okay.
Straight up work. So, like, I don't think it's easier if you playing at a high level. Okay. Now, is it easier to go play some pickup basketball than do chemistry? Yeah, probably. But we talking like high level sports? Oh no. Like, it's much easier to be an engineer than it is to become an NBA player. Right. Because there's a lot of things that you got to have in order to become a professional basketball player and or football player. Right. And not saying that, you know, being an engineer is easy, but you only have like 200 professional NBA players, and I'm pretty sure you got way more engineers than that. Exactly. So I would never say that's easier. I think it's a path of interest because a lot of times African Americans are products of their environment. They don't have great exposure to different types of careers. Like, I was 27 when I found out a hotel manager can make like 350, 400,000 a year at the right hotel, just managing the hotel. And not saying that's an easy job, but you know, that was a career that I would have never ever thought about as a kid because I had no exposure to that.
Exactly.
You know, I had no exposure to trade, so I didn't know, you know, plumbers are making 150. You know, electricians 180, like at the high end, like turbine technicians like making 120, 110. Like, you know, I didn't learn that stuff till I got older and I started working with kids and diversifying their career paths and finding all of these different careers that they can explore. So I think exposure is a key thing, and you get exposure to a basketball court because that's always going to be in your neighborhood.
Right.
You know, you can watch sports on television, so you can try and emulate that. You can try, and so you can see that. You can see rappers on television. You can see that, and you can see that they came out of similar places that you're from. The same thing with the athletes and everything like that. So you think, okay, this is a route that I'm gonna take. You know, you don't see hotel managers in the hood.
Right.
You don't see plumbers and carpenters in the hood. You don't see, you know, people who do real estate in the hood. You just don't see that. So you don't really know what that's about.
Exactly.
Or what it takes to get there. So yeah, so that's my answer on that one.
Okay. What do you think about technology? Like, having all this technology is affecting the way we used to live back in the day. So what do you think about it? Like,
so you grew up in technology. I've grown up with technology, and I feel like, to me, it's really beneficial because I've been able to make friends with people who I would have never met any other way. Like, I got friends in China, I got friends in France. I go visit these people. I've met them, you know, through technology. You're able to have access to so much information, but I do feel like that's not always a good thing.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of bad information, and you have access to that too, and it allows a lot of people seeking bad information to congregate, and then you get these extremist type groups, and you know, so it can be an effective tool, it can be a highly negative tool. It's all in what you look for. I use technology to rent my cars out. You know, like, I wouldn't have that. I mean, it would be like a ghetto rental place if I did it any old other way. But there's a Toro app or there's a car share app, and I put my cars on there, and they rent my cars from me. Like, yes, technology, amazing. But then, you know, there's a extreme, I hate this people group, and a bunch of people join it, and then they find other people and people who have access to weapons and access to space, and then they meet, and then, so it's like, you know, bad use of technology. And then, you know, I think sometimes people can be spoiled by technology. Like, do you know anybody's phone number off the top of your head?
No, nobody besides my parents.
See,
and like one other person, that's it.
And see, I take time to memorize phone numbers, you know?
I've noticed that with people that are like now my generation, like most people, like, you guys know numbers, like, just memorize. Like, I can ask my mom, what's this person's number? She just be able to say it right out.
Yeah. Can you read a clock?
Yeah, I can read a clock.
You read a clock?
I can write in cursive too, but that's more because my mom makes sure.
Yeah, but there's, like, you know, we're starting to notice those things, and not that being able to read a clock is super important, but, you know, being able to tell directions. Like, I could literally draw a map of Ann Arbor, Detroit, Ypsi off the top of my head. I put a piece of paper down and I could draw a map. When I was a kid, my dad used to make me direct our road trip, so I would have to read maps and figure out what direction we're going in, like where we're at, like, you know, in the middle of the ride, he used to test me, like, yo, like, we in Tennessee, where are we on this map? And I had to read the mile markers and match them to the map and stuff like that, so that that gave me the ability to draw spaces based on, like, distance and direction. So, like, yeah, there's technology. It can be good if you understand how to use it in a good and informal way, but you know, ignorance is a lot because you know we don't have a lot of education everywhere. So anytime you have a ton of ignorance, well, you know, ignorance will follow usually into negativity because ignorance never really leads to anything good. And so as long as we don't have great education around technology, it can definitely be used as a negative tool. And so I think some things with technology we might need to like back away from. I see they're like pushing it full with like a metaverse.
Right.
Somebody just paid $2.4 million for land in the meta world.
Yeah.
And I noticed with kids, there's a little kind of a detachment from reality, especially after the pandemic. And you know, technology giving you access to a life that you don't necessarily live can be, you know, a part of that. So you know, people living in realities that don't really exist. And so that could be a pretty bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be the last question, and it's basically kind of what I asked you before on all these questions. But how do you think all of what you went through so far in life built you into the person you are today?
I think it's like, how do I think it? Ask it one more time.
How do you think all of what you went through so far in life built you into the person you are today?
Every experience matters. The good, the bad, tragic, and it all through experiences. You know, I would hope that I get better. All right, I would hope that I've gotten better. I would hope that I've learned from mistakes. I would hope that I've left things in better shape than they were than when I first came to them. I don't want to be destructive. I would like to be creative and innovative, and I think everything that has happened to me is very necessary. Like, I think about having kids, and sometimes I'll be like, you know, I want to raise them in this area, and it's nice, and they don't have to struggle. And then I'll be like, but dang, like, what does that turn them into? Like, you know, will they be able to persevere through things? Like, how much is too much as far as supporting and all that other stuff? But then I think, you know, well, maybe they should be in a world where they don't have to be as resilient as me, or they don't have to be as strong as I was. Like, I would like my kids to not have to be that strong, to not have to be, you know, always having to dig deep and survive and, you know, weather storms and things like that. But, you know, it's a cycle because you'll have strong people. They always say strong people create weak people. And then weak people create strong people. So it's like a vicious cycle. Like, it's like we can't help ourselves as humans. Like, we have a soft era, and then from that, you know, people take advantage of that, and so that creates strong people. And then they overcome, and then we get the softness, and then so you know, I wouldn't take back none of them experiences. I needed them. Though going hungry though, I'll take that. That was no fun. But like, if you ever not ate for like 4 days, bro, like that is you don't know pain, bro, until you know some stuff like that. Like, that's some true pain. But you know, outside of that, like, these things create who you are. And luckily, you know, I've never been like sexually abused or anything like that. You know, as you know, working with a lot of teenagers and kids, you know, I've seen a lot of that running rampant in our communities. And you know, I would hope, you know, we really get to the bottom of that stuff and really figure that out and what's going on and how to help that. And so, you know, but somebody might hear my experiences and be like, oh my God, like, like, oh my God, like I can't believe, like I remember I was telling somebody like my mom hit me with a car after I called her an asshole. And like, I like laughed it off and they was just like, they like just look like, what? Like, what? And I was just like, yeah, I called her asshole, never called her one again. Like, and I was like, you ever see Indiana Jones and the big rock rolling? Well, I was like, that was that big blue Impala right behind my ass, and I was running and shit hit me in my backpack, and I flew like 20 feet, scared myself up and everything. But you know, you know, people will be like, what? Like, what? And I was just like, and see, you laugh because you already know I can't be. So like, you know, you understand, like. Sometimes certain things is necessary. Yeah. So like, you know.